Hey there, it's Stephanie Shea, Chief Astrologer for janspiller.com with your December 2023 astrological overview. This is it, the last month of 2023. It's been quite a ride, and just in time for the end of the year, we will have the opportunity to slow down and do some reflection because Mercury will be stationing retrograde this month. I will get to all that. I'm going to try to go somewhat in order and let you know the happenings for December astrology. So even before this Mercury retrograde begins, we're going to have Neptune stationing direct on December 6th. And you think, oh, it's going direct, then that must mean more clarity. Yes and no. Neptune is the planet of illusion. It spends about 5 months a year in retrograde. So obviously we don't really feel the influence on a day-to-day basis. But during the months that Neptune is retrograde, we have a greater access to our subconscious and our intuition. We may get those downloads, those messages, and they're really not to be dismissed. And once Neptune stations direct, as it will on December 6th, then it's harder to access those files. I know we've all had those moments where we think, wait, what was that? What was that dream I had? What was that? It seemed so important at the time and it's starting to slip away. That's why it's important to write these things down. Anything that may have come to you since June 30th when Neptune was last retrograde. It's important information. And now we're going to have an opportunity to use that information, maybe more in a tangible way in the real world. Neptune will be direct between December 6th and July 2nd of this year, nice long stretch. And just know that during the days Neptune is stationing in either direction, retrograde or direct, it can create kind of a foggy feeling. In addition to other days this month when we'll be under Mercury retrograde, the days right around the 5th, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, leading up to it, and maybe the day after, try not to force things. Maybe build in extra time for breaks to clear your head if you start to feel more overwhelmed than usual. That's normal under the Neptune station. And again, you can really use this time to get in touch with the insights that have come to you over the past 5 months. Now, we've got the solstice this month, of course. It's on December 21st for those of us in the Northern Hemisphere. It's the winter solstice. For our friends in the Southern Hemisphere, it's the summer solstice. But worldwide, this date marks the sun's ingress into the sign of Capricorn. And Capricorn season is really ushering in a time for retreat and working on things in more of a behind the scenes kind of way. We want to think about our goals, but it's not necessarily the time to strike out on something new. And, the holiday time is always considered to be a social time in a lot of cultures and a lot of countries. But it sort of goes against this astrology that we get towards the end of the year that's telling us to have some quiet time. And Jan has some original words, some writing that we've preserved on this topic. And she says the best use of the solstice is to spend some time by yourself, organizing your life priorities and your time. Look at the important goals you've reached up to this point in your life and plan for the goals you would like to accomplish in the year ahead. It's a time for rest, reevaluation, and aligning your priorities to suit your values at this stage in your life. And it's really perfectly timed this year with Mercury retrograde because Mercury will station retrograde December 13th and it will go direct on January 1st. So that last little few weeks of the year, in addition to Mercury retrograde, is that solstice and that quieting time with Capricorn season coming in. and we'll all have the opportunity, hopefully, to get rested up for all the new things we want to do in 2024. Now, towards the end of the month, Jupiter is going to go direct on the 30th. And that's ending a retrograde cycle that began September 4th of this year. So while Jupiter is retrograde, again, that's, almost 5 months of retrograde, that, we don't think every day, oh no, Jupiter's retrograde. It's more of the background kind of energy where we're being pushed to be more self-reliant, create our own opportunities. So maybe as a result, we've developed some skills and talents that are ready to be received and appreciated by others once Jupiter stations direct. So if it has felt like there's a lot of closed doors in recent months, our faith that things can work out needs to be rejuvenated, right? We can start to feel that maybe, discouraged, that we're not going to be able to accomplish what we want. But with Jupiter's station direct at the end of the month, I think we're going to get that spark of encouragement, and especially from others, to keep at our efforts. And so that is the recap of the outer planets. I said I'd go chronologically, but I kind of went through the outer, touched on the inner planet, of course, with the Mercury retrograde. And between January 13th and, December 13th and December 22nd, Mercury will be retrograde in the sign of Capricorn. So those specific dates are really good for reevaluating our career path, our long-term goals. We might start questioning, are our current plans practical? And we want to rectify any past oversights. Capricorn is all about getting your stuff together, right? If we've been unrealistic in our planning, this time period can really help us to rework our schedule, renegotiate commitments in a way that promotes success. And we might be eager for some new challenges. Maybe we're going for a promotion, a raise, a new line of work, but we're being encouraged to wrap up loose ends and finish what we started first. So there's extra support to bring projects to completion and redo any work that has been problematic. Now, from the 23rd of December to January 1st, Mercury will be retrograde in Sagittarius. It goes back into that sign. During these days, we'll be reevaluating our ideals and our outlook on life. The timing is not really right, as I mentioned several times, for embarking on a new adventure, but we are going to be supported in efforts to research exciting new opportunities. So definitely start looking into what might be possible when it comes to your goals for next year. And people are probably going to be more susceptible to overly idealistic thinking during these days. So we'll need to avoid overcommitting and just focus on setting a realistic timeline. Delays and technical glitches are going to be more likely, right, under this astrology, making it necessary to allow more time than usual to complete routine tasks. And especially if you're already one of those very optimistic people, sometimes I fall in this category where I think, okay, yes, I'll say yes to this opportunity. How many hours could it really take? And then there you are, 65 hours later, when you thought it was going to take 20 hours or something, really wishing you had thought it through more. So that's all coming up. It's kind of nice that Mercury will be stationing direct on New Year's Day. When I go into our January forecast, it really is encouraging for getting new things started in the month of January, which hasn't been the case in the past few years. We've usually entered the month under the influence of retrograde that went on almost through the whole month of January. So we have Venus in the sign of Libra the first few days of December. That's really good days between the 1st and the 3rd for our most important negotiations. And that's also before that Mercury retrograde cycle. On December the 4th, Venus moves into Scorpio. And if you have anything that's a little bit complicated, that needs to be strategized with others, complex tasks, the best dates will be December 4th through the 12th. Now, from the 13th to the 28th, it could be kind of difficult to gain an understanding of other people's motivations. Again, that's during that Mercury retrograde. Power struggles might happen. So it'd be really wise after, the 13th to just carry out previous commitments without trying to change the plan. Now, on the 29th, Venus enters Sagittarius, and it will stay there until January 22nd of the new year. So as the month closes, we're going to be desiring a change of pace. That's usually what Venus and Sagittarius craves. Wait until after January 1st. Be patient till after that Mercury retrograde cycle. And then it really will be right timing for a bold new adventure in our lives. Now, we've got this new moon coming up just before the Mercury retrograde on December 12th. So you definitely want to take your time in compiling your wish list. Make sure your wish sits well with your gut instinct before deciding whether or not to keep it on the paper. And this new moon is in the sign of Sagittarius. It's especially powerful to make wishes that have to do with Sagittarius. For example, Sagittarius rules optimism, faith, adventure, freedom, travel, legal issues, higher education. If you have anything going on in your life in these areas that you want to improve, enhance, attract, attracting good luck, that can be a wish or intention you set at the new moon. This is a fantastic time to do that. So I encourage everybody to check out Jan Spiller's book, New Moon Astrology, because it gives very clear guidelines for how to work with new moon energy and make the most of it every single month to manifest, not just at the new year or at special times, but every month, even during a Mercury retrograde cycle. So this one is so close to the Mercury retro. You're going to set your intentions, but you're not going to get started the very next day, right? It's just the idea of declaring this is what you would like to attract and knowing that it's going to take a little longer to unfold. But the declaration is a very important part. So the full moon this month is December 26th. It's at 4 degrees of Cancer. So it could feel quite emotional for some people. It is quite a nice full moon to be surrounded by friends, family, loved ones, as long as people are not taking things too personally or trying to dredge up the past, which can happen, as we know, at family gatherings sometimes. So just knowing if you're with people around, for those who celebrate the Christmas holidays, this full moon is right in there, the day after Christmas. Try to keep things light, and let things roll off, not really, internalizing everything around you, because what this full moon can really be good for is getting clear about your personal needs. It's really not about anybody else. So once you know what you need, you can do what you need to take care of yourself, and it won't matter as much what other people are doing. Easier said than done, I know, but that's kind of the best way to work with it. Confrontations, discussions, all of those things never seem to go well at the full moon. And so I would try to procrastinate that if somebody does want to open up a can of worms around this time. You can be open to what they have to say, but even if you wait a few days after this full moon, or even wait a few weeks, because then we'll be out of Mercury retrograde, the conversation is apt to go a lot better. So those are some tips for navigating this month's astrology. I'm pretty excited to be on the brink of a new calendar year, and I look forward to bringing you your astrological forecast in 2024 and, of course, the years to come. All right, have a great month of December.